We've got a special interview lined up with the incredibly talented sibling duo, the Band JAREN. We're talking about their new single, Stand Strong, their journey into Christian music, and how they're inspiring the next generation. Stick around to the end for a chance to win some awesome merch from the band. You won't want to miss this. Let's dive in.
Eyes are cancer, killing all the hope left in my soul. There's too many versions of the truth that I've been told. Culture's swaying my mind like a leaf caught in the wind. But my feet are...
Hey there, I'm Mike Laxton from Kingdom Builder TV, and I'm thrilled to welcome the incredibly talented sibling duo, the Band JAREN, who are making waves in the Christian music scene. We're diving into their journey, their new single, Stand Strong, and how they're inspiring the next generation. Jaren, Jade, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to have you guys on. I know we've featured you guys before, and I'm surprised it's our first interview, but we're gonna hopefully make a habit of it. But for those of you who don't know you, I mean, let's just start out to get to know the both of you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you guys got started in music, and just that whole dynamic?
Yeah, for sure. So, hello. My name is Jaren. I am the older sister, and
I am Jade, and I am the younger sister. It's just the two of us.
yes, it is just the two of us, and we make up the band Jaren. And the reason why we chose the name Jaren for the band is because in Hebrew it means to sing out in praise. It is a cry of rejoicing, and that's exactly what we want to do all the time, especially with our music. And you asked, how we get started in music? That's a great question. Well, when we were growing up, we have amazing parents, the best parents on the planet Earth. And they thought to themselves, oh, we'll put them in everything to see what they're naturally gifted at. So we played music, we played sports, basketball, soccer, we did all sorts of dance, karate, literally anything, we were doing it. And our parents figured out, oh, they're actually pretty good at music. So maybe they should just focus on that a little bit more, because it seems like the Lord has just gifted them there. And we could read music before we could read English. And just grew up, studying music, started on the piano. My mom played piano. Our mom played piano in college, started us when we were 5. I started playing guitar when I was 6. Started songwriting, wrote my first song with my dad when I was 7 years old. And then I just kept on doing that. But yeah, Jade, you want to share a little bit?
Yeah, we grew up with the same parents, obviously. And so I had the same experience, except instead of picking the guitar, I picked the violin, which I started when I was 6. And my lovely anniversary with my violin is coming up. February 14th, Valentine's Day, was the day I started playing the violin, and that will be 13 years. So it's been a long running time playing instruments and having music be a part of our life.
Oh, awesome. Well, everything I've heard so far has been amazing. And again, we'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit in just a second. But being a sibling duo and that unique dynamic of playing together and performing together, what would you say would be the best part as well as the most challenging part about making music together?
Jade, I feel like you want to speak.
Well, first, before we were together in the band, we played music growing up together, like on the streets. We would busk together, and that's how we would make some money as little children. And so we did that, and we did not enjoy it very much. We didn't very much enjoy playing together because we used to fight all the time when we were little youngsters. But luckily, the Lord has worked on both of our hearts, has greatly matured us. And so now we have a lot of fun getting to play together. And so it's just been a joy to be able to walk through life, walk through faith, walk through the journey of music with my sister, because a lot of people whose sisters or family moves away to go to college, because like Jaren, when she was 17, moved to Nashville. And so usually when they do that, you only see them like twice a year, and you see them during Christmas break and summertime. But thankfully, because of music, we get to see each other all the time. And so that's one of the joys from getting to be a sister duo. A challenge, we're pretty like honest with each other. So like that's something that's just, we're sisters, so we have the ability to just be very candid. No beating around the bush. We just kind of tell it to each other straight. And so sometimes that can cause a little bit of tension, but it's all in good nature and for the betterment of each other. So it all works out in the end.
Yeah. I think it's to the point where it's just gotten really fun, just in general. I'm so grateful that we're in this together as sisters, because we know just a lot of other girl artists that we're friends with or are mentored kind of by, that they just struggled because they were all alone, just going throughout this Christian music, even the Christian music industry. It can be a lonely road. And so I'm very grateful to have my little baby sister, even though she's taller than me, coming with me, and we get to support each other, we get to pray for each other, and it's also just more fun when we're performing too, and we just get to rock out and just like jump around and dance with, and we get to there's not so much pressure, I feel like, since there's two of us. Challenges, I would say, yeah, we're just sisters, so it's like if we're getting on each other's nerves, we know it, and it's very clear, and we're both like, Holy Spirit, you come intervene right now, because she's getting on my nerves. But we always work through it and figure it out quite quickly, I would say. And like Jesus is always the center, and always trying to be the center of everything we do. So when he is, it goes pretty well.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. That you have that good relationship with each other, because that definitely makes things probably a little bit easier, especially when you're on the road and touring and things like that, and doing the festivals that you guys like to do. Now, I know you guys are pretty active on social media. I've seen some of this stuff over the last maybe week or so that you posted, and there's one particular post I wanted to ask about. Was you mentioned how going into Christian music wasn't exactly plan A, but it was always part of God's plan for you. Can you kind of expand about what you meant by that, as far as how you found your way into the genre, and maybe what was that plan A originally? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah. Well, both me and Jade had different plans at the beginning. Like she said, we grew up playing together, but we were like, nah, we don't want to do this together. We feel like God's calling us to our solo paths, and we're going to go our separate ways. Which I don't know actually if that was his will, but he's working all things together for our good, and his will is coming together. And but yeah, I moved to Nashville when I was 17 years old, and when I was 13, I really felt like the Lord spoke to me very clearly to use music gifts to bring wandering hearts to Christ. And that was like my calling, and I knew what I was supposed to do with my life, which I was so grateful, because I was young. But I was young enough that I didn't ask God for details on what that meant or how that was gonna look. And I ended up thinking, oh, wandering hearts, how am I gonna bring them to Jesus? Oh, I gotta go into the secular world, I gotta go into the pop realm. Plus, like, Christian music, like, my friends make fun of that. Like, I don't know if I want to be in that genre anyways. I'd rather try to reach them being sneaky with the gospel in the secular realm. And I did not ask God about it. I just immediately thought that's what I was supposed to do. And so when I moved here first, I was pursuing a more pop secular career, and it just went terribly. It was a short period of time, but I was with a different management team, and everything I wrote was just shallow, nothing to do about Jesus, like just so not what I originally had intended. And all the relationships were falling through, all the plans that we had. My very first song that came out, terrible song. Now looking back at it, it's just so shallow. And it was supposed to be a fun summer song, and it had so many technical difficulties. It didn't come out till like October. And so the Lord was just not upon that project at all. His hand was not on it. His blessing was not on it. And it was very clear. And so after a period of doing that, I said, okay, I need to take a break from this. And I took like 3 months to really just pray and seek the Lord's will. And he told me very specifically to go into Christian music. And I didn't really want to at first, but I surrendered and said yes. And as soon as that happened, my heart changed so much. And now Christian music, worship music, only thing I listen to.
Mhm.
I will not listen to anything else because the Lord has really just changed my heart from the inside out. And obviously, like, the Lord has been blessing it and brought me and Jade back together to do it together. But Jade, you can share a little bit of your story.
Yes, my personal story with music and how I ended up in the Christian music realm was that growing up, I always wanted to become a solo concert violinist. And so I wanted to do the classical music. I wanted to be like Hilary Hahn and Ray Chen, and I wanted to go through that route. And so I was setting myself up to do just that. And so like at the age of 12 was when I really made that commitment, because they were like, okay, you have to decide like right now if you really want to do this, because it just takes so much energy and effort and time to be able to get to that caliber of playing. And so I made that decision for myself, and I was like, yes, I'm going to go to Juilliard and I'm going to make it in the classical music field. But then eventually my junior year of high school, or no, my sophomore year, I believe, Jaren came to me and was like, hey, sister, so you play the violin. I just started this little rock band. How about you join? And I was like, no. And so at first I just said no, because I didn't want to do that. I was like, I got my plan going on. I got everything planned out. I know what I'm doing with my future. But then I was like, okay, let's ask God, because he knows best. I do not. And so I asked the Lord, and I like went to the word and just really filled myself with his words. And so it was very clear by the end of my prayer time and Bible time that I should join the band, and that it was going to be like this 6 month to a year period where I join the band and kind of just see how it goes. And like the Lord is like, if I bless it and like it's apparent and there's like fruit, then stay in the band. But if not, you can like chop that off and go back to what you're doing, because it won't cause that much disruption. But after I joined, it's just continued to grow, and the Lord has been blessing it, and the Lord has been using it for his good and his kingdom. And so, yeah. And that's also why I get to play electric violin in the band, which is a really fun aspect. So it's all, you know, like Jaren said, it's all God's will, and he's just working everything out, because I definitely wouldn't be as entertaining or like as impactful, my violin playing, if I didn't have all of those years of classical training behind me. He's just working it all out. It's going good.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, again, so far so good. You know, you've been in this for a few years now, I guess. Let's say 2022, I believe, and things are working well, which is awesome to hear. Now, for someone who's first listening to the band Jaren, what other artists or sounds has influenced your style? Other artists you maybe compare to and that you would resonate with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So since the beginning, we've been compared to Barlow Girl from the good old days. And to be honest, I didn't even know who they were until we formed the band. And everyone was like, you're like the new Barlow Girl. I'm like, who's that? And which I was born in 2004, which their number one single that was like on the number one charts for like, I don't know, 16 weeks or something crazy like that was in 2004. So I was just a wee little baby toddler, and Jade wasn't not born yet. And so we just didn't know them because we were just a little bit younger. But listening to them now, oh my gosh, like I've like watched them and studied them and just seen how they play, and they were so talented, and their harmonies were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just rocking out for Jesus. So we love Barlow Girl. We love other like pop rock artists right now. Like I love Steven Stanley, and Bodie's killing it right now. For King and Country's awesome. They're not really rock at all, but their production's insane. And we love everything they do and grew up on them. Who else, Jade, do you think?
I was just gonna say the same people, like for King and Country, and yeah, Barlow Girls, Super Chick, Skillet. They got some of that electric violin in there. But yeah, Lindsey Sterling. Yeah, if you really wanna talk electric violin. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I was gonna say Barlow Girl when I first heard your music, that was the first thing that I that came to mind, because I was, I grew up listening to their music, and hearing that is actually pretty impactful because of the generation that we need. We need a group of that generation right now that's similar to them, because there's not a lot out there. But going a little bit back to 2024, on today's Christian Entertainment, which is our web platform, we actually featured you guys as one of our artists to watch. But I will admit, I actually had not heard of you guys as a band until I came across a song called Here to Work by Trampolines. And
Oh, no way. Really?
Nice.
so I listened to that song and I was like, okay, I got goosebumps. I'm just gonna just say I instantly loved it.
Praise God.
I mean, the video seemed like a lot of fun. We're hopefully going to get to interview Lane and Carrie here in the future. I know they're pretty busy with their mission work stuff, so we want to talk to them as well. And I'd love to get into how fun it was working with them, but I did want to say, Jade, I'm a sucker for strings too. So when I heard the electric violin, I'm like, okay, this is starting to hit me in the feels a little bit. I'm a huge Skillet fan, so that when they bring the strings into their album, their music and stuff, that's a huge part of there. So total win on that. But going with the whole all girl group mentality, I actually have a preteen daughter, and having that music that she enjoys is really good to have from great role models who are, godly role models who are, following Jesus and really being that mentor to them, musically. How do you see you guys inspiring that next generation and filling that space, especially with the females?
Yeah, for sure. That is one of our biggest goals. And we've just been talking just as a band and just with other people in the Christian artist lane. We've realized there is no music for young girls anymore. It's like you're either listening to what everybody else is listening, but there's nothing like me and Jade growing up. We watched Disney and we had to the next big thing and all those teen pop stars, that had clean music to listen to, and that was just fun. And so we got to grow up with that. But nowadays it's barely a thing, and it's wild because all these young girls are listening to Olivia Rodrigo's and Sabrina Carpenter's and Billie Eilish, which we look up to musically, but just character-wise, they don't love Jesus at all. And it's very clear. And they're not godly women. And I'm praying for them because that would be awesome if they were. But there isn't that many women to look up to, especially in the secular realm. And all these huge artists are they're not setting the best example. And so Jade and I going into this, our hearts really burn, especially for younger girls who need someone to look up to that can kind of just point them back to Jesus, just when we talk, but also with our music, but also trying to make good music that's just as good as the world's, and we're still working on that. But that is one of our main goals, especially with young girls.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And as you mentioned, Barlow Girl was probably the band that in the early 2000s, that was the last one to really do that. And then Super Chick, with the sisters there. But I know we want to get into Stand Strong a little bit because that is their new single that just released today. I've been listening to your guys' music on repeat a lot, along with my daughter, who's really enjoyed your music. So with that being said, I did want to bring a special guest in for a question, if that is okay. She would love to ask you a question about one of your songs that's already out, and you're going to meet my daughter, Lorelai.
Yeah! Yay!
Oh, hi.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So my name's Lorelai.
Hi. You're so beautiful.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you. Oh my gosh. So the question I've been really wanting to ask is, what was your inspiration to make your song War Cry?
Ooh, that's a good question. First of all, I just want to say your eyes are stunning.
I know, that's what I was gonna say too.
I was
Through the screen.
Hey.
Woo.
They're like sparkling. I'm like,
Yes, they
oh,
are.
okay, Jesus. But that's a great question. We have experienced a lot of just crazy warfare, and it's nothing that we have to be scared of. Just in the spiritual realm, it's very clear in the Bible, especially in like Ephesians 6, it says very clearly to put on your full armor of God, right? To fight against the enemy and his schemes. And I fully believe that everywhere in the spiritual realm that there is like a war of angels and demons around us. And Jade and I, we're not going to share too many details because it can like create fear, which we don't have to have fear because we have Jesus. But we have experienced a lot of like demonic things and demons and nightmares and just family generational things that are just really evil and not great. But it's so cool that the light always overcomes the darkness, and that the name of Jesus and the blood of Jesus is just so much more powerful than everything else. And so when we were writing War Cry, I wrote it with 3 other guys, and I was just really passionate about just going after the enemy. And it's not like you're like seeking out evil to destroy it, but it's more like you're loving on people and you're praying for people and you're just being a threat in general, because you're just radiating light, and that the name of Jesus is our war cry. So that was the inspiration for that song.
Oh my gosh, I think that's amazing. Like, it's been my favorite song, and with the more songs that you're gonna come out with, I bet you that I'm gonna love them all. And that was so amazing. Thank you for answering that question for me, guys.
Oh, you're
Of course.
so sweet. I wish I
You
could
are
just
so
like, hug
sweet.
you through the
Yeah.
screen.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. It's nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
All right. Thank you guys for entertaining her question. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Um,
she's so cute.
So it's all about the positive music. We definitely appreciate that. And again, War Cry is one of those that she's always asking, hey, let's put it on Spotify, or she's putting it on her Spotify account. Definitely want to keep that in the mix. But you've got a new song out, Stand Strong. We both listened to it. It's amazing, as always. So far, I've not run into a song I don't like, so that's great. That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about that heart message behind that song?
Jade and I, we grew up in Michigan, not in Nashville, in Michigan. And Michigan is just very spiritually dry in general. We went to public high school our whole entire lives until COVID hit, and then I went online, and I've just been online since. But Jade, she went through public high school and still is in college at Belmont. But especially in Michigan, most of our friends were atheists, did not believe in Jesus, or they were Muslims. So I have a huge heart for both atheists and Muslims. And growing up, we were always known as the Christian girls, kind of like goody two-shoes vibes. But we never really strayed from our faith. And the fact that people did know that we loved Jesus was just a testament in itself, that we had an amazing family who really just taught us to stand on the word of God and to be rooted and grounded in love. And rooted and grounded in the word as well. And so, especially nowadays, I wanted to write this song of standing strong, because nowadays, in culture in general, there is so much confusion and so many, even how am I going to phrase this? There's just so much confusion and things in our culture that are just so against what the Bible has to say. And we're very passionate about like specific topics. I don't know if we want to get into any of those, so I won't right now. But we're very passionate to just stand strong on what Jesus has to say, because obviously he's God and he knows best. And and especially for this younger generation, culture is starting to just twist truth in general, and like there's like they're deconstructing even the word truth. Like, that's your truth and this is my truth and that can be your truth and I'm just gonna be over here. It's like, no, there is one truth and it is the word of God. And as Christians, we are called to stand strong, to not back down when people like come at us with their weird agendas and stuff, but also to just stand strong in love, in loving them. Yeah, but Jay, do you have anything else to say?
You pretty much covered it all. That was pretty good. Yeah, very much just standing strong when everything else around you is just getting hard. Life's getting hard. And also in that aspect of lots of things are going to come at you. We definitely aren't promised an easy life as Christians. It's not like you believe in Jesus. Oh, then you have a walk of cake, like walk of cake. I don't know what that. I don't know if that was quite right. But
Easy
you
as
get the
cake.
message. Easy as pie.
Pie.
Piece of
Easy as
cake.
pie, piece of cake, right?
Yes.
Piece of cake, easy as pie.
Easy
That's
as pie.
good.
Yes, we are not promised that. No cake and pie for us. And so definitely promised difficulties and struggles, hardships. And so just continuing to stand strong and stand firm in our faith and our truth as we continue on in life and work through all of those different struggles of life that we all go through.
Yeah, it's definitely a very strong song and has, you know, as you mentioned, has that that power of resilience that just to hang on to what our beliefs are and stand true to that, and again, stand strong. It says it in the song title. Now, with the release of the new single, what's next for the band Jaren? Are there any upcoming projects that you can talk about, collaborations, a tour, anything of that sort?
We are currently starting to get some stuff in the works. We are hoping to release an album in the future. We are concluding sometime, don't know when, but we are putting out an EP eventually. But there's hopefully should be some very exciting things coming up, and we're just praying to see where God leads us, and we know He's got good plans, so we're excited to eventually share those with you once we have them.
Yeah, we definitely are kind of in like a transitionary period at the moment, but we do have a ton of shows coming up, which is great, and a lot of summer shows. So we'll be going back out on a summer tour as well. And I will say, we need to get this done because the deadline's coming up real quick. But we are planning on doing a little collab with our good friend Ben Lane on one of his songs that we sang together live when we went on a Christmas tour with him in 2023. I think he's already released it, but we're going to do another version where we're singing on it. And yeah, so be looking out for that. I think that's supposed to be out in like a month or two. So we gotta start cooking.
Well, it's awesome to hear, and hopefully you guys can make it down to Florida sometime soon. Would love to see you guys live, and maybe to have to make a trip to wherever you are. But before we wrap up, I did want to have a little bit of fun. I want to do a quick lightning round. So I'm gonna ask you guys some favorites. Just spread out first thing that comes out, and then get to know you guys a little bit on that level. So first up, favorite color.
Green.
Was it both of you green? What was I think I only
Royal blue.
Blue? Just regular blue?
Jaren's is blue, and then royal blue.
Oh,
Royal blue.
Okay, all right.
And then mine is more of an emerald green.
Oh, okay, all right. The fancy blue and fancy green. I like it.
Yes.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Ooh.
Mine is bread.
Any type of bread?
I love like rolls, like Texas Roadhouse, like the rolls that they have,
the
super
rolls.
good. Breadsticks, super good. Sourdough bread, super good. I'm just a big carb girl, so yeah, bread is great.
Okay, favorite artist or band?
Oh. One of my favorite artists right now is Jeremy Riddle, which he is a worship artist, but yeah, he makes me cry like every single time. So I love his heart, especially, is just the most pure I've seen in this industry that I've found. And I just really look up to him.
I was low-key gonna say the same, but because I was gonna say that before she said that, because we she created a playlist and I basically just listen to that. But I also love Upper Room, and they have wonderful worship music, so beautiful, and it's just so pure.
Awesome. All right. Favorite movie?
The first thing that came into my mind, which this is not it, but Inception.
Okay.
Ooh. Mine, first thing that comes to mind for me is La La Land.
Okay. All right. All right. And then lastly, hopefully this one's an easy one. Favorite Bible verse?
Oh, that's not an easy
Not
one.
an easy one. Trick question.
For me, recently, it's not, I also agree it's not an easy one because it's just constantly changing, I feel like, with the times. But recently I've been like holding on to like Philippians 4:6, which is don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything and tell God what you need and thank him for all that he has done. Because it's really just like the basics and just really just roots you and grounds you in like what you need during the time. And it's just like, we don't even need to worry. You just gotta pray. You just pray about it.
Yeah.
All right, Jaren, what do you got?
This isn't my favorite because I don't have a favorite because it changes all the time. But the one that I'm learning and memorizing right now is Ephesians 3:16 through 19, which talks about God granting us strength through his spirit and in our inner being to comprehend and know the widths and the heights and the depth and the length of Christ's love that surpasses all understanding, which is just crazy because it's Paul praying for us to know the love of God that we can't even comprehend because it's that deep. But yeah, that's been a verse that I've really been trying to focus on this year and just trying to just have a deeper revelation of God's love, because everything we do and everything that we just can identify with stems from God's love for us. It really is the why we're here in general.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing your favorites with us and even just talking about your music today. For those of who want to connect with the band Jaren and follow you on your journey, how can they best do that? Where can they find you online?
They can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, all the above at the band Jaren. And Jaren is spelled like Karen with a J, so Jaren. And yeah, you can just look us up right there.
Really easy. Good deal. And we'll put all those links in, of course, the description of this video as well. But lastly, if you had any final thoughts or words of inspiration you'd like to share with your fans, what would those be?
That's a great question. That God is calling you deeper always, and that our calling in this life isn't just to work for him and to just do all these great works for him. That's not our first and foremost calling. Our first and foremost calling is to love him and to be loved by him and to get to know him and to sit at his feet and just look him in the eyes and just know and learn who this God is and his love for us. And that's something that I've been learning lately, because I've always been like, oh, my calling is music. This is how I please God. I'm gonna just sing for him. I'm gonna just play for him. I'm gonna do all these things for him, which I still do and I still love. But I 100% would get burnt out if I did not realize that my first and foremost calling is to just sit at Jesus's feet and to just love on him. And so that's my encouragement for everybody listening.
Anything to add there, Jade?
Yeah, my word of encouragement would just be that you are beautiful and you are loved. And that is just something that's very basic, but it's something that's also easily forgotten. Just even for me personally, like there was this whole podcast, and then in the podcast, they're like, okay, ask God, like what he calls you. And then it's supposed to be like this whole moment of like hearing God's voice and like understanding like what you're going to do with your life and all this stuff. And like the only thing I could get out of it was like, you are beautiful and you are loved. And I remember I was crying to my mom because I was like, I didn't hear anything from God, like, because I'm like, that's just like the basics. Like, I didn't hear anything. And my mom's like, well, maybe that's what you need to hear, and like that's what you really need to remember. And so I think it's just something that we so easily forget because we are, like Jaren said, so focused with like, what are we gonna do next? Like, what is something that we need to get done for God? What is he calling me to do? Like, but there's just so much importance in just remembering like you are loved. And so just want to encourage everyone in that, and just the security that is found in the love of God.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you both for, again, joining us here on Kingdom Builder TV today. And of course, for those watching, make sure you take a listen to Stand Strong. Follow them on social media at the Band JAREN, at all of those different locations. Again, the description is going to have those details for you. It's been a real pleasure having both of you on, and I'm definitely hoping we can have you again on in the future, especially if there's a new EP coming out, and as we get more news about the music you're putting out, we'd love to have you guys on again.
Yeah, that would be
that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Now, don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this interview, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave us a comment below. We love hearing from you. And you could win your choice of an awesome The Band JAREN t-shirt or hat. Just leave us a comment on any of our social media posts promoting this video with the secret word, Stand Strong. That's all you need to do to enter. The secret word, Stand Strong. You can include anything else with that, but as long as that word's in the post, you're good to go. We'll randomly select a winner on February 28th and reach out to you directly if you win. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming interviews and content. And thanks for watching.